there's a growing recognition among policymakers that media should be a building block of any comprehensive peace-building strategy. I'm not sure that policy makers or the media were aware of that, but Sheldon knew. As an independent filmmaker in Bosnia and other conflict spots, Sheldon had already proved the media's peace-building power. And now today, in the Peace Tech Lab, which he has founded, Sheldon adds the tools of the cell phone, digital real-time information servers, and a host of technologies, all enlisted to quell hate and halt violent conflict. These are the fuels that Sheldon and his dedicated Peace Tech team feed into the flame of human creativity. With them, a growing army of entrepreneurial folks are waging peace around the world. So take a look at what the right tools in the right hands can do. Sheldon?
Lisa, can I borrow your high heels? Thank you very much, Bart, for that really generous introduction. Thanks for those kind words. I wish my mom were here. She might actually believe it. Although she would be annoyed that I am the only thing standing between everyone and happy hour here. So I will be direct and get right to the point. It is a great honor to be here in such inspiring company. It's been honestly amazing for me to hear everybody's personal story. So let's just give a round of applause to all these people who have come before me. It has, honestly, I really wish this room were filled with students because they honestly need to hear these kinds of journey of social entrepreneurs and how they got here. So it's awesome to be part of this inaugural class of Prometheus Award winners. As you heard, I'm Sheldon Himelfarb. I'm the founding CEO of the Peace Tech Lab in Washington, and we are an independent, nonprofit organization that was born out of the United States Institute of Peace almost 5 years ago now. And our mission, simply stated, is to amplify the power of technology to save lives and promote social good above its power for harm and hatred that you hear about all the time in the news these days. And how we do this honestly makes my job one of the best jobs on the planet. Because every single day, we at the lab work with courageous peace builders around the world. These are people who are fighting corruption, who are preventing hate crimes, people who are defending human rights, people who are countering gender violence, people who are struggling to tackle the food and water insecurity that comes with climate change. Every single day, we get to work with these extraordinary people to help them do more, better, faster with the great work they're already doing by using tech. And that's really what tech allows you to do. When at its best, it's a force multiplier. And so far, we've trained leaders from almost 1,300 organizations in about 20 countries. And these organizations themselves work with millions of people around the world. Our tagline, Bart already stole my thunder here, our tagline is, we put the right tools in the right hands to build peace. And that really grew out of my own experience in the 90s, working, as Bart said, with media. I was working in Africa after the Rwandan genocide, where radio was used to incite mass killing. 800,000 people died in a matter of weeks, mostly Tutsis that had been killed by Hutus. And in the wake of that horror, I worked with an incredible group of journalists, local journalists, both Hutus and Tutsis, on a new radio station in neighboring Burundi. Because what's the first victim in war? The first victim is reliable information, the truth. And most of them knew someone who had been killed in the interethnic violence, and I will never forget asking one of them, a young Tutsi who had lost a very close family member, how he felt working with Hutus because this was our innovation, joint reporting teams so the information could be trusted, joint reporting by Hutus and Tutsis. And he told me that he did this because it was the only way to get peace. He would do anything to bring peace in his community, and he just wanted our help in doing that. And I left there in the 90s committed to figuring out ways to put the right tools and the right resources into the hands of people like him. And I've been doing it ever since with the help of many talented peace techers, as we have come to call ourselves, who I would, by the way, invite all of you to come meet if you ever come to Washington, D.C., or if you're ever in Nairobi, where we also have a small Peace Tech lab. So what's Peace Tech? I can see that question is running through your minds. Let me give you a quick couple of examples. Peace Tech is the sensor system deployed by a startup company called Hala Systems that tracks the trajectory of missiles when they're fired and sends a warning out to civilians to get out of the way. It's saved hundreds of lives in Syria, and we incubated this company in our Peace Tech accelerator. In countries like Iraq, Venezuela, Mexico, Peace Tech is the Salama app that is being used by journalists in order to protect their own safety, the privacy, and their sources. Then there's the website, IPayToBribe.com, that is now being used in 15 countries in order to expose corruption. Or the geospatial mapping technology used in Cambodia by the Halo Trust in order to clear landmines. Or another couple of companies we've incubated in our accelerator, companies like Anona or Agromovio, and these are tackling the issue of food insecurity by connecting small farmers with international buyers using new supply chain technology. I could go on and on because there is a peace tech industry that is taking root that none of us ever imagined when we first coined this term about a decade ago. In fact, some of you may have seen last year in CNN, on their website, there was a headline around an article, Can the peace tech industry save the internet? And this came out in the middle of all the TechLash articles. So nearly every day, this industry, consisting of nonprofits, of startups, and even large companies, this industry is working on ways to leverage the best of tech to diminish conflict and violence, stop the spread of hate speech and fake news, empower citizens to participate fully in democracy, and so realize their own destiny. And behind every one of these organizations is a social entrepreneur, some of whom will stand here, I am sure, one day, knowing Bart and Lorraine and their commitment, some of whom will stand here one day to receive the Prometheus Awards. So I want to close by painting a picture for you of who that entrepreneur might be. Now, mind you, I have met hundreds of them over the last several years, but there's one in particular I want to tell you about. She really stands out because she really represents, in my mind, the future of peace tech and the future of this planet if we're smart about it in developing girls like this. And this is Anu. And I met Anu in India a couple of years ago when we were doing a training on how community leaders could use different tech tools to tackle the terrible problem of violence against girls and women in Mumbai, which Ramona already spoke about Mumbai. And Anu walks into the training that we're doing with two of her friends. All of these girls were about 13 years old. And they lived in the Dharavi slums in India, one of the poorest places on the planet. But they had downloaded the free MIT app maker online, using a shared laptop together, working with a mentor, and they had created a cell phone app that was designed to reduce the attacks on girls and women in their community. You hit one button, sounds a loud alarm. It sends a message to your network of friends and family, and it locates you. Now imagine, these are 13-year-old girls from the slums of India who are tackling gender violence in their community with tech, and which you can imagine is at great risk to themselves. It's just counterculture. And all they needed was a little bit of help, a little engineering help from my team to help them get it across the last mile, to get it into the Play Store. Folks, I have dedicated most of my career, as have most of my colleagues at the lab, to finding the Anus of the world, young and not so young, and giving them the resources they need to succeed at building a better, safer, more prosperous world. And there are many ways that you can join with us in doing this, so please come up to me later on at dinner and introduce yourself. And let me just say, you're an incredibly good group to be as patient listening to all of us here for all of this time. Let me say thanks to you all, and especially to my wife here in the front row, my wife Deirdre, who has heard all of this so many times before and actually still loves me, I think. So thanks very much.
I had heard so much from many supporters about Sheldon before really knowing anything about the Peace Tech Lab, that I decided to make pilgrimage to go down and see him. And the one thing that you get when you walk into this, well, first of all, you should know it's in D.C. Now, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, president, said that Washington, D.C. is a city of southern efficiency and northern charm. And while that may be true, I always love that. But when you walk into Peace Tech Labs, what you are struck with is this is an utmost campaign. You are walking into a situation room. On the first floor is a board that has conflicts glistening digitally around the world. This is not only information for Sheldon. Sheldon realizes that if you're going to run a nonprofit, you need a product. He's got product. Meanwhile, as you move through floors to floors, the place tingles. There is an entrepreneur coming in who has set up a system whereby when terrorists come to recruit, they can be found. All technology is there, but it is the spirit of people all behind him. And Sheldon is the person who, by his own individual example, is able to bring it to the fore. So, Sheldon.
Thank you so much.